going to guide us in a little IFS inspired meditation. So IFS is the type of therapy that I do. It stands for Internal Family Systems Therapy. And this is kind of a little bit what it's like for us in session sometimes, or at least part of the session. So this is also just a little meditation that you can do at home, on your couch with your pup, or just in your bed, laying down, or in a chair, or just sitting on the ground. So I'll just invite you to begin by, is it going to be like that? Closing your eyes and getting comfortable. And just starting to notice what's happening. Oftentimes, if what we're experiencing is some kind of discomfort, emotionally or physically, we have all kinds of habitual coping strategies or ways of just kind of avoiding or getting away from that discomfort. So in this practice, we're going to be turning towards instead of our usual turning away. So just becoming present with what's happening, whether it's repeating thoughts or strong feelings or sensations of discomfort in the body. Whatever's been happening for you lately. And as you turn your attention towards whatever's been happening, just starting to feel where that shows up for you in your body. It could be in your body, or it could be kind of in the space around your body. Just whatever those sensations are that are associated with your experience. So if, for example, you're noticing anxiety, where am I feeling that anxiety? Do I feel it like a heaviness in my chest? Do I feel it like a weight on my shoulders, or something in my throat, or a heat, or a tingling? Whatever it is for you, just seeing if you can notice it and flesh it out as much as possible the way that the somatic presentation is for you. And then just turning towards with a quality of curiosity and interest. If it feels difficult to access those qualities of compassion and curiosity, if it feels instead like there's a feeling of aversion towards this part of you, just asking the part that dislikes this initial part, so the feeling of aversion, just asking that feeling if it could just soften back a little bit, so that you can be here and be present with this initial feeling that we're trying to connect with and get to know a little bit. And alternatively, if you're experiencing a feeling of anxiety or grief, and that's the part you're trying to get to know, but it just feels like you're overwhelmed with the feeling itself, just asking the grief, the anxiety, the anger, whatever that may be, if it could just pull its energy back 20%, 30%, so that you can be here and be present with this part. Witnessing, caring for it, learning from it, and just letting it know that it's very difficult for you to really hang out and be with it in this caring way if it's taking you over completely. So just tuning into this part of you that's presenting, whether it's a constriction in your head or a tightness in your chest or an ache in your belly. However it's showing up for you, just turning towards it with this real quality of curiosity. Almost like you're taking this quality of curiosity and compassion and interest and beaming it towards this part of you. Almost like this kind of golden energy beaming towards this part of you. And if at any point you become distracted, you can just thank your parts that have helped you become distracted, because they also are trying to help you or serve you or keep you safe in some way. Just honoring them and letting them know that we're not trying to let this part of us take over our system. We just really want to understand why it does what it does. Just asking our distracted parts to just soften back a little bit, and then turning your attention again towards that somatic presentation of this part. So this may be one of the first times that this part has had any connection or interest in a way that's caring and considerate and respectful and interested. As often our parts that are, say, anxious or sad can be kind of demonized in our system or very disliked by other parts of us. So when we're able to turn towards a part with compassion, it kind of opens up this new neural pathway, this new possibility for this part to express itself in a different way, or to open up some space, some interior space. Just letting this part know that you're interested and that you care. And you'll know when you're really in this energy of self, when you feel like you don't have an agenda. You don't need this part to be any different than it is. And you're actually feeling like very interested in why it is that this part does what it does. Like, oh, it's so curious. And when this part of us can feel that genuine curiosity and care, it may be responsive to that. So just inviting this part to feel into you so that it can get to know you and start to build trust with you. You can let it know gently that you're not another part. You're not those other parts that dislike it. That this is really your true self. And just letting the part know that you're here and asking it what it would like you to know. What would you like me to know? Just being really receptive to how the information is shared. Might be shared somatically or by feelings or kind of a slideshow of memories. Just letting that happen now, letting this part know that it can share with you what it wants you to know about how it does its job. And perhaps times that it's done its job, that it's been really important. As it shares with you about how it does its job, just letting it know that you're really getting it. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Or if it doesn't really make sense, just asking this part of you to share with you in a way that's a little bit more clear so that you can really understand, because you really want to get it. Just letting the part know that you really want to get it. You could invite the part, just tell me more about that. Oh, wow. Okay, so you've got a really big job. And if it's possible, just really sending appreciation or gratitude towards this part of you for how hard it works. And if that feels like too much of a stretch, you can just send it kind of this feeling of honoring. Like you're honoring it for its service. It's probably been employed in this job for a very long time. There might be things about this job that are difficult. This part of you might feel kind of lonely in its position, or like it has to work all the time and never gets a break. So just appreciating it for its hard work. Just noticing if there's a reaction to that appreciation. You might notice a little bit more space opening up, or just a feeling of thankfulness that it's been appreciated. Or even just a feeling of, well, it's about time you appreciated me a little more. Seeing if it's okay for you to ask this part of you another question. And just asking it, what is it concerned could happen if it doesn't do this job? And it may say, well, this could happen, or that could happen, or this bad thing could happen. And at that point you could ask this part, just like when? Just like when did these bad things happen? Or is there another part that feels that way that you're describing? And you may get some memories flashing, or you may get an image of yourself at a young age. another part of you does pop up that feels like it's holding some distress or is quite vulnerable, a memory that holds some pain, just honoring that younger part of you, letting it know that you see it, that you care for it. And turning back towards this initial part that we've been in contact with. And just letting it know that it's starting to make sense. If it does make sense, and if that feels congruent for you, letting it know that, okay, you're trying to protect that one that feels all that pain. And you do that by engaging in this behavior, whether it's anxiety or fear or anger or sadness or controlling things or working a lot or drinking or whatever it may be. Just really letting this part know that you're starting to understand. And that it makes sense why it would feel so compelled to do this behavior. And then just doing a little gentle update with this part of you, this part that's trying to keep you safe from that pain. Make sure that painful thing that happened never happens again. You can just update this part and let it know what year it is. You can let it know how old you are now. You can let it know a little bit about your life. So that it's really oriented to this present day awareness, because sometimes these parts are kind of stuck in time. And are younger. So just noticing the reaction when you update this part to the present time. And then letting this part know that you are it actually, all grown up. If it was a younger part. And then now you actually have quite a lot more resources and ability than you did when you were younger. And just inviting this part of you to notice you in your full adult self in this upcoming little while. To just notice that you might actually have the resources and ability needed to deal with the things that happen in your life, so that this part of you might be able to take a little bit of time off. Or you guys could work together. And reassuring this part that you have no intention of getting rid of it. Always will be a valued part of your system. But that if it wants to, there's no forcing it, but if it wants to change its job role a little bit, you might want to try that out. See how it feels. And also just letting it know that that young one that holds that really scary distress that you may or may not have gotten in contact with, that other part. That if you and your self-energy, working with a therapist, can go and help that younger part that holds all that distress, that might also help this part that feels the anxiety or the anger or whatever the presenting struggle is, so that it doesn't have to do its job so intensely. And just really honoring this protective part of you that's trying to keep you safe. And also honoring the part of you you may have been introduced to that holds some distress. Seeing if either one of those parts have a message for you about what they need from you before you come back. Now that you've been introduced to some of these parts of you, and a real sense of what this IFS process work can be like, just know that that younger part of you that holds distress can be helpful, very helpful, to work with that part, but usually it's helpful in the beginning if you have a therapist or a guide helping you to work with that part, so you can really get a sense of knowing how to do that without that distress kind of overwhelming your system too much. Just honoring the parts that have shown up for you today, and really honoring the information that they've shared with you. And if you want to spend some more time with this part that you've started to get to know, if you feel like it has more to share with you, this protective part that we've been working with for this guided meditation, just continue to stay in that space. And as long as you're able to maintain those qualities of curiosity and compassion and a non-agended care, you just spend as much time as you like with this part. Or you can come back. Thank you.